Okay, my name is Fariz Priady. I'm going to talk about leadership and how leaders can inspire people. Basically, best leadership is good management. Some years ago, it became fashionable to separate leaders from managers, distinguishing those who do the right things from those who do things right. It sounds good, but think how this separation works in practice. Many leaders are detached from the messy process of managing, which became overled and undermanaged. The truth is, many of the most successful strategies are not conceived in isolation at the top. They grow out throughout the organization via a kind of distributed leadership. The differences are, unfortunately, detached leaders tend to be more concerned with impressing outsiders than managing within. A case in a point, decreeing the firing of thousands while ignoring the effect on morale. Another example is American Enterprise, which is a really big company. American Enterprise was not built by currently fashionable heroic leadership, but with leaders tangibly engaged with managing. Another example is Barack Obama. The most impressive about Obama's energetically led campaign was how capably he managed it. Being an engaged leader means you must be reflecting while staying in the fray. Let's talk about why. Why Apple, the one who years after years seems to lead the innovation? Why is it Martin Luther King was the one who led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only famous author at that time. He wasn't only the only who suffered for sure, but why Martin Luther King? And why Wright brothers? The one who able to configure man-controlled flight when there are people who are more qualified, better funded, and they did not achieve. A couple of years ago, Simon Sinek found uh, that Apple, Martin Luther King, Wright brothers, and all of the great leaders in the world, they think, they act, they communicate the exact same way and opposite to everyone else. He created something called golden circle. As you can see here in the diagram, where Y is in the middle of the circle, what on the outer circle, and how in the between of Y and what. Some almost all the leaders, almost all people know what they do, but only some people know how they do it. And only great leaders know why they are doing it. Why do they exist? Great leaders think from inside out, from why, how to what, instead of what, how to why. For example, Apple. Uh, we start with why. Apple, like everything we do, we believe in thinking differently. And then it goes to how. The way is by making product beautifully designed or simple to use or friendly to use, which lead to what? A computer, MacBook Pro, iPod, iPad, and all of the stuff they have made. People tend to buy why instead of what. Let me explain. For example, Dell. It is a good company. It is one of the best IT company in the world, but nobody buys Dell's MP3, which is the exact same MP3 that Apple has. They have iPod. It is the same exact thing, but no one buys Dell's MP3. Dell think from outside in instead of inside out. That's why no one buys their products. Let me explain further. Simon Sinek says that there's connection between this golden circle and with biology, not psychology. biology, as I said. As you can see, uh, if you if you were to look at a cross section of the brain from top to down, you would see that it corresponds perfectly to the golden circle. Starting at the top, our newest voluntary brain, our Homo sapien brain, called neocortex. As you can see from the diagram, it is our what? It is responsible for all our rational, analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, which is for feelings, trust, and loyalty. It is also responsible for all human behavior and decision making. It has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amount of complicated information, features, benefit, facts, and figures, but it just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we are talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decision comes from. It's why you can give someone all the facts and figures and they'll say that they know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. That's why people buy iPod instead of Dell's MP3. Because the part of the brain that controls decision making does not control language. Sometimes we say we are leading with our heart or our soul. That's all happening in your limbic brains, to be honest. But if you don't know why you do what you do, then how will you ever get someone to buy into it and be loyal or want to be part of what it is that you do? After all, the goal is not just to get people to buy the need what you have, but to believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job, but who believe what you believe. If you hire people who just need a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people that believe what you believe, they'll work for you with blood and sweat and tears. There's no better example with Samuel Langley and Wright brothers, as you can see here. Samuel Langley, which is on the right side, and Wright brothers, the picture on the, Samuel Langley on the left side of the picture and Wright brothers on the right side. Nobody knows anymore who Samuel Pierpont Langley is. And we all know who Wright brothers are, right? Langley basically was a very smart man who studied at Harvard, worked at Smithsonian. He was extremely connected. He had all the access to the greatest funds and the greatest minds. He was also given 50K American dollar by the US Department to figure out this flying machine. He hired the greatest minds available, and the market conditions were fantastic. The New York Times also followed him everywhere he goes. Everyone was rooting at him, but we have never heard of Samuel Langley. While a few hundred miles away in Dayton, Ohio, Orville and Wilbur Wright, who had none of this recipe for success, they paid for it all from the proceeds of their humble bicycle shop. Not a single person on the Wright brothers team had a college education, not even Orville or Wilbur, and the New York Times never ever followed him. But they were driven by a cause, by a purpose, by a belief. They believed that if they could figure out this flying machine, it would change the course of the world. While Samuel Langley was different. He wanted to be rich. He just wanted to be famous. He was in pursuit of the result, of the riches. In the end, people who believe in the dream work with blood, sweat, and tears. The others just for the paycheck. The next thing you need to become a good leader to become a good leader can inspire and manage well is to become idealist and realist. Separately, these qualities are limited and ineffective, but combined, they create a powerful tool for engagement. Rudy Giuliani understands this idea. As a mayor of New York City, after the 9/11, he stepped up and announced to the world with conviction and confident that we are going to make this the safest city in the world. He was the only one who dared to say that after 9/11. Giuliani he created advanced pragmatic plans designed to help the city move toward that aspiration. His inspirational visions, realistic approach unite the people of New York City and enabled Giuliani to fundamentally change the profile of the city. Another example is Bill George. He was able to achieve this ideal as chairman and CEO of Medtronic, where he created an aspirational vision that centered on saving lives. To bring that vision to life, he arranged for employees to meet face to face with some of the patients whose life they were saving. Under his leadership, Medtronic grew in market value from less than $1 billion to over $60 billion in 18 years. And people also need to know that you yourself as a leader are in touch with reality, that you are willing to roll up your sleeves and engage in the hard work that execution entails. In conclusion, if you want to be a good leader, you have to manage well, and you have to think the golden circle rule, from where you have to think from why to what instead of what to why. And the last thing is you have to be idealist and realist. As I've said, that you have to be in touch with reality, that you are willing to roll up your sleeves and work. That's basically it. This is my bibliography where I get my sources from, and thank you for listening.